Hi everyone, welcome back to Poetology. I've been looking at series of books lately because it's fun to review them together, and I wanted to move on from fiction to poetry because that's what I'm most excited about. Lately I've been reviewing fiction from Strangers Press. They put out series based on one country where authors each have one short book. You can click on this card to watch those series. And because I'm so excited about poetry, I decided to do something similar with small poetry presses. So the idea is that in this series, I will choose a press each time and order at least 3 books from that press and then review them together. And for the first installment, I thought I would talk about Guillemot Press. Guillemot Press is a small UK press that specializes in pamphlets. These are very short books with either a short poetry collection or a single short story in them. And the 3 books I selected are all poetry. Another specialty of Guillemot Press is to focus on producing really beautiful books and putting a lot of attention into the details. They try to focus on covers, paper quality, how to best present the collection that they're featuring, and they produce beautiful objects. I recently took a poetry school course with the editor of Guillemot Press, which means that I learned a lot about how the press runs and works with authors, and also received a discount, which was a great opportunity to actually order a few more of their books. The first one I would like to talk about is Dorothy Lehand's 8 Songs of Mothering and Capacity. The cover is very, very pink and has this sort of erasure. It's like they've printed several pages of the poems together, and so the words are all blurred together and it's impossible to read it. It looks really great, and the title obviously is hard to read on the cover, but it is here on the spine. And there are 8 poems, as the title indicates, in this book, but they are not presented in the usual way of 1 page, 1 poem. Each of those poems runs over several pages and they have different formats. So this is the first one, for example, which is numbered. Others work more like a play with acts, or others run freely or look more like a song. There's a lot of innovation in the form as well as in the themes. The theme is mothering. It talks about the experience of mothering in a very slanted way. For example, if I read a page from a thumbnail narrative, "Talk to me, who wept? We believe in the slay, slay, slay of things, words that are inconceivable, baseless claims." You see that in the way it's written, you understand the emotional load of the words that are used. You can imagine a situation where the speaker might find herself, but you can't exactly know what was going on. There's always a part of suggestion. And so a lot of this reading is about feeling out for the situation, feeling out for the emotional tone that is conveyed by the words, and also just the beauty of language. I think that for anyone who has experienced or is going to experience motherhood, this would be a very powerful collection to read. It definitely made me feel things very strongly. The next one is Betsy Porritt, A Mediated and Partial Zone. This one is like one long poem with just a short stanza on each page. Betsy Porritt likes to work with art and mixed media in her poetry. So this is based on an installation that she made in Margate, and it is about relationships between people and forms of kinship. The poetry itself is a bit more abstract. You can't generally tell what's going on. It's not something you can pin down and be like, okay, I've got a clear scene in my mind. It's more like a tentative play with words that creates a sort of atmosphere and associations and ideas in very unexpected ways. And you are left to just try to make your way through it, let it float. Sometimes a phrase will catch your attention and you will have that in your mind as you read everything else and read the rest through that lens. At other times, it's harder to find out exactly where to rest your attention. I'll just read one, again, sort of random, to give you an idea. Unlucky hand, shackles bite down on slim ankles, a gift going both ways. Different metals between paychecks, words and laws and locks do that. There are several interpretations that you can make on any of those stanzas and the poem as a whole. So it's really for readers who don't mind a bit of uncertainty and actually enjoy searching for interpretations and meanings, or just letting the words do what they do and feel your way through them. In this poetry, I feel like I'm always straddling some very poetic notions and quite strong political undercurrent, just in the expressions that I used and the words that I said. It may be about interpersonal relationships, but there's a strong undercurrent of resistance. The third and last one is Constellations by Astra Papachristodoulou. And this is the most beautiful make. I absolutely love this shiny cover. It's a very hard cover, unlike the other two. And the collection is, as the title says, all about constellations. You need to revise your Greek a little bit. Not your Greek, just Greek letters, in case you've forgotten the Greek alphabet or never really learned it. It's not absolutely essential, but it gives you an order of reading, because then all of the constellations are presented like this, and the words are arranged around the constellation, and each line is marked with a Greek letter. So that gives you an order, an intended order of reading, where you start with alpha, then beta, etc., and go through the constellation. This being said, you can also read it in your own order, and the poem becomes something else. So it's not necessary to follow the prescribed order. The whole thing is really beautiful, I think. So all of them are different constellations with, again, slightly abstract poems, and it's very dreamy. It's really beautiful. It's sort of between mathematical or like astronomical and dream. It's like part science, part dream is how I read it. As if you get these ideas floating in constellations and they've been captured scientifically on a graph, but they actually are very fleeting. I also liked that every now and then you have matched the constellation below with their names, which breaks the rhythm a little bit. And then you have a page with 4 constellations and 4 lines, and each line is a potential name for a constellation, and you can try to guess which is which again reinforces this idea that the poet is playing with the idea that there is an order, there is a formula that you should somehow make out, but at the same time, this is used to make some abstract and dreamy ideas about constellations and about the world. There are a few poems that don't have any words in them, which just, again, plays with that emptiness and that space that is between and within constellations. Here's just one of the poems called Dolphin Fish, and it's this constellation here. The outskirts to fade, but then we ran into the sky sea. I think this would make an incredible gift for poets and non-poets alike. Anyone who is willing to let their imagination do some of the work when reading a collection. It reminded me a little bit of Some Planet by Jamie Mortara, which was published by Yes Yes Books in Portland in 2015. And I mean, obviously there's the planet theme, but there were also charts, like the paper fortune teller, which you can print out, make a fortune teller out of, and, play with. And poems that were actually games with a set of instructions. This one, for example, where you follow a different route depending on your answer, each answer being a different option that is part of the poem. And there were experiments and things like that. So this one, for me, also treaded a line between scientific models and very innovative poetry. In some ways, Constellations reminded me of that book, but it's also doing something very different, and the feel of the collection is dreamier, I would say, than Jamie Mortara's. I will put all the links below, and I hope that you will have a look at this small publisher and maybe get some books yourself. I will be doing more of this series because I quite like having an anchor in my review of books. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and let me know if one of the books has caught your attention, or if there is a publisher you would like me to talk about. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers now. I hope that things can continue to grow, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video very soon. Bye!